Welcome everybody back to the Corbin Claypool Show, guys. Today we are going to provide you a market update on the Central Valley. We're going to talk about interest rates, where things have gone, where they're going, because things are starting to look better. Powell came out, he said he's going to potentially cut rates, and there's a lot of good stuff happening with buyers in this current market. I got an amazing guest with me today. His name is Greg Reitz. Many of you know him. He is a top producing agent here in town that closes well over 80 to 100 transactions a year with a very small team, which is incredibly impressive considering most people closing that amount of business have a huge, massive team. He's doing it with only a couple people in this tough market today, right now. So, guys, we're super excited to get this going. Greg, introduce yourself, man, and let's get this show on the road.
All right. Thank you, Corbin. Glad to be in business with you. And, high achievers hang out with high achievers. That's how we build each other up, right? And get to the next level, too, and help all of our wonderful clients get their accepted offers on the buying side of their listing sold. So I'm Greg Reitz with the Reitz Real Estate Team here locally in Fresno. We're a powerful real estate team, and we've been in business about 19 years here. We love the area, the clients, first-time home buyers, move up, multifamilies, etc. And glad to be here and full of information to give the public today why it's the right time to purchase a home in real estate.
Awesome, Greg. Thank you, man. So we're going to start, guys, just kind of talking about the market update. We'll talk about some other stuff too, but I wanted this podcast to be specifically focused on where the industry is going over the next year because things are looking a little bit better. So Greg, kind of tell me a little bit. And one thing I love about Greg, guys, is he uses actual statistics. He's not just going to feed you BS. He's going to feed you what's actually happening in the market today based on actual facts. So Greg, go ahead and start sharing some of that information. What do you think real estate sales are going to do in the future? And what do you think they're doing right now? Or what have you seen they're doing right now?
So right now, the real estate sales, let me show you what they're doing, okay? And these are stats. We also feel it in the market being in the sales area ourselves, right? Of real estate, of course. Right. So in the future, what they're going to do is we've seen it coming. We're going to get reduced interest rates, right? That Powell, the Fed, said he's going to be reducing them. We're believing it's going to be up to a half a point, maybe even more, but probably a half a point in September.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that.
Yeah,
too. Yep.
So that's going to help. We've got pricing on homes slightly dropping, correct, going down. That's what we've been looking for, right? A little bit. And that helps, right? So we get these pricing and these monthly payments right for these buyers. So home affordability returns in a quick fashion. So a few stats here. Average active prices, I'm giving everybody June to July, June 24th to July, month to month.
And this is for the Central Valley, Fresno, Madera area.
Fresno, Madera counties.
So different counties may be different. If you're watching this from Texas or anywhere else, it could be different than what Greg's going to show you on this piece.
Fresno, Madera County here.
Yeah.
Average active prices are down. Active listings, that means not sold, not pending. Active listings are down 1.7%. So from June to July, in that 60-day period, they went down from month to month 1.7%. That means sellers are reducing their price to sell, pricing them at a active listing market price.
I've got a question for you. Does that include seller concessions? Does it already kind of factor the seller concessions in? So let's say somebody comes in at full price but asks for $20,000. Is the sale considered full price on those statistics? Or is it including in the fact that there's a $20,000 technically reduction because the seller is giving that money away?
They're giving us stats where they're actually listed and what they're listed at. They are not in escrow yet. So they're active on the market.
Okay, thank you.
So they're down. Yeah. So that means the sellers are reducing their price active coming on the market 1.7%.
Wow.
That's not sold.
Wow, that's big.
Solds, I've got that next number for you whenever you're ready to share the solds.
Yeah, that's big because that's a huge difference.
Almost 2% and 1.5 points in just month to month, right?
Yeah, meaning sellers are feeling like they're not getting enough traction on their homes. Right.
Not getting them sold. They got to price them right.
Right. So tell me a little bit about the closed sales and what that looks like.
Absolutely. So we have from month to month, June to July, sold prices when they actually closed escrow from June to July, we have went down. Hang on to this. Sit down when you hear this stat. 5.4%. The prices from June to July closed transactions went down 5.4%. Here's what that means. That means that buyers had hard negotiation on those sellers, probably getting closing costs or getting the price down 5.4%.
Wow.
So price.
That's a big difference.
That's a lot of money.
Now-
On a $400,000 home, that means they were negotiating down about $22,000.
And think about that. If you're a buyer right now in this market, if you can negotiate $20,000, you could use that to pay all of your closing costs, plus get your rate down farther. And where rates are going, things are going to start getting pretty affordable here.
That's what we're seeing with our clients. Yeah,
Right.
we're getting all these fees paid. A lot of times closing costs, so they just have to come in with a small down payment and get in. Makes
Right.
it affordable.
Right. Now, question for you. As the market is continuing to change, are you seeing some of the homes that are, let's say, nicer or renovated? Those ones are still kind of going at full price, right? Or what do you see?
Well, it's on. Let me put it like this: when there's a property that's immaculate, updated, really nice, that's true typically on your entry level product. That means under 400,000. 300 to 350 have more buyers than you do 350 to 400. But 400 or less would be entry level, even 350. But the medium home price right now is at 411,000. That's your medium sold price, 411 sold medium price. Okay. So once you're under 400, 375 or less, that's going to be your entry level pricing. When they're clean and they're priced right, they're going to have multiple offers. Probably not going down like we just talked about. That's giving you an overall 5.4 from the entry level all the way up to $2 million homes. But on your entry level, meaning 350 or below for clean updated properties, they're a hot ticket.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay full, maybe in a little more on those, but you're getting a good value. They
Gotcha.
are having to price them right.
And we're seeing some of those new construction. We had new construction with Armorjeet that got in with all sorts of incentives, right? $20,000 in incentives or something.
$40,000 on the price.
Right.
He had some closing costs paid. It was an amazing venture.
Which brings me to my next topic. We don't want to talk too much about it because it's really not the big deal. Business is going to continue as usual. But that is the perfect example of why a buyer needs an agent when they're putting an offer on a house. You negotiated $40,000 off that price for the buyer. In addition, you got all of their closing costs covered. If that buyer would have went into that new construction unrepresented, he probably wouldn't have gotten that big of a reduction. What do you think?
Typically what we see is, and the stats show us that when the buyers are working with us and any good negotiating professional agent, like the rights team and other professionals in there that are good at what they do, hire producers, they're going to save 2 to 5%.
Wow.
So that could be through closing costs paid, reduction in price, something like that to show that percentage. And that more than pays for the professional fee.
Got it.
And the sellers, even with the new rule in place that the buyers are talking about, maybe we should bring that up at the end.
Right.
I can bring it up right now.
Yeah.
With the new rule, the sellers no longer have to pay the buyer broker agent to bring the buyer to the property and sell it. So
technically, but
buyers agents on the offer are checking the box that the sellers to pay for the commission. So it's still really going back to the seller, but the seller can decline or counteroffer that,
right,
and say I'll pay X percent or I'm not going to pay at all. Then the buyer and agent can decide if they're going to stay in it or back out of the offer.
Right. And in my opinion, the listing agents that are selling that, I'm just gonna, let's not pay a buyer's agent. One, they're going to create bad reputations for themselves in the area, and people are not going to want to do business with them, which is going to further make those properties that they have listed get less offers and get less showings because it's going to get around, right? It's a very small community in real estate, and people know who they want to do business with and who they don't want to do business with, so to say.
That's correct.
So, on your listings, you're going to make sure that you're telling those sellers that it's going to be important for them to get the best offer.
We give options with the sellers, and our buyers are not paying our commissions. We told them, you're not going to have to pay us. We're going to make sure the seller takes care of that. So we're putting in the offer, and we give them an option out. So so far we've been 100% perfect on that ratio right now.
Right, and
that's fair. Most buyers are tight on the income, the money coming into the transaction anyway. Closing costs, down payment. So we get the seller to pay the closing, and we're still asking them for the fees for the buyer's agent representation. So the buyers just come in with a down payment. Everybody wins.
Got it. Let's talk about affordability a little bit and how the last 2 years in real estate, affordability has been terrible, and we all know this. People have been getting into homes. At one point, the rates were at 8% for a conventional loan, which made the payments astronomical. But now that makes me kind of segue into the Fed rate cuts and what we're going to start seeing here in the near future, which is going to make things more affordable. However, Greg, you know this. What happens to the industry when rates come down?
So that's a great question, and here's the answer. And I think a lot of the buyers listening know that answer, and sellers that we're going to list properties for too know that answer. So there's a lot of buyers waiting on the fence. We probably have about 9 to 12 right now waiting for the rates to drop in September, and then they're going to move forward. Other ones are purchasing right now because they know our buyers that are purchasing now, they're going to get a better negotiation. Like I just said, 5.4% down. That's a big negotiation. That's not going to be there as apparent as it is right now. When the rates drop, you're going to have more buyers flooding into the market to get those new rates, and that's going to cause more competition on the well-priced listings.
Exactly.
So then your negotiation power is weakened from that perspective. So now is the time. Then too, but now is even better.
And then you can always refinance, right?
Absolutely. Then you can refinance. So you get the rate, let's say the rate 6%, pick an interest rate, 6% for this informational here. And the rates are at 6 or 5 3/4. Well, guess what? Even now at 6.5, give it 18 months, 20 months. We expect it to be down in the low 5s probably. We don't have a crystal
maybe
ball.
even 4s, man.
Maybe even the high 4s.
Right.
Then you can refinance out of it. And by the way, when you refinance public, you don't have to have any money out of pocket. That comes right into the mortgage. So let's say you owe $350,000 on the home, and the refi is $8,000. Then it's $358,000. The payment is still much lower than you have already, and that's the win. It's a huge win. I've refied multiple, probably about 11 times in my life, my rental properties and my primary. Absolutely.
And check this out too. On an FHA and a VA loan, you can do an FHA Streamline or a VA IRRRL, which actually makes it so you don't have any closing cost really at all being rolled in. And what we've been doing, we only have a couple because we're not really pushing hard on the refi right now just because we think rates are going to get even better. But for the clients that are in the high 7s, we can refinance them for free. Yes, for free, because we get we call the servicer, we get a credit from their impound account towards their closing cost. We give them a credit. And so they're coming in with absolutely nothing, and they don't need an appraisal because it's a streamline on an FHA refinance. And they're able to reduce their interest rate by about 1%. And then they can do that again in 6 months, 8 months, 10 months when the rates do come down. So let me segue into this because Powell made some dovish remarks, and basically what dovish remarks mean is just they don't need to take any more aggressive action. We saw, a year or two ago, back in May of 2022, when things started to shift and the market just started going up very fast. They started raising the rates 50 basis points, 75 basis points, like overnight. And that caused a lot of volatility. But for the first time since 2021, inflation came in below 3%, which is massive. And so he made some dovish remarks at the Jackson Hole Symposium. The 10-year Treasury is down to 3.80, and he confirmed a rate cut on September 18th. So that's massive. Once we start getting rate cuts, guys, you're going to start seeing it all over the news. Rates are coming down, things are getting better, and that's going to cause more people to get into the home buying process. Some key remarks that Powell said is the direction of travel is clear, and the timing and pace of rate cuts will depend on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risk. So he did potentially say there could be a 50 basis point rate cut in September, but I believe that was like a 33% chance, where a 25 basis point cut is like a 75, 80, 90% chance that is going to happen. That is very sure. He basically said we are going to cut the rates in September. Inflation, these are remarks from Powell still. Inflation has declined significantly. My confidence has grown that inflation is headed on the pathway to 2%. Upside risk to inflation diminished. Downside risks to unemployment have increased. Labor market conditions less tight than pre-pandemic when inflation was below 2% and will not be a source of inflation. So the Fed's predictions are 25 basis point rate cut in September, And the market is actually putting, get this, this is crazy. This is just the market. So this isn't necessarily fact.
And let me say that.
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
these remarks that you're saying for the average person when you're done, what does that mean?
Right. I'll jump into
Okay.
that. Yeah. So the market is putting a 73% chance of 100 basis point of cuts by year end, and they're anticipating a 50 basis point cut at one of the next 3 meetings this year. And then they're also predicting 125 basis point cut in 2025, which would be a total of 225 basis points in between this year and the next year, bringing the Fed funds rate down to 3%, 3.125, which would still be above inflation. So I know that's a lot of like mortgage, lingo. And, to put it in layman's terms, guys, rates are going to come down significantly. If the Fed fund rate comes down below or above 2%, as far as how much it's coming down, that's going to make a massive difference on interest rates. So let's say that we have a 6% average interest rate right now. There's a really strong possibility that rates could be in the 4s, low 5s, depending. So that would be massive as far as the increase in consumer demand as far as buying homes, because affordability is going to shoot through the roof temporarily, though, because as affordability shoots through the roof for the first 6 months, year, that's going to raise home prices again. And you're going to see a surge in home prices, right? What do you think about that? You think home prices will go up much? Or if we get rates, let's say in the 4%, 5%, what do you think?
I think the way Powell does them with the Fed lowering interest rates, he's going to be slow about doing it, as you stated, a couple points off. So let's say they go from 6 to 5% in the next. That's about a year and a half. He'll have a sustained period. He'll drop a quarter point, a half a point here and there, and he's going to be watching it as the incoming data comes in. As the market heats back up, he'll stop doing those reductions.
Very true.
That'll keep the market stable. That's how he's smart with that.
It's
he's not going to allow any kind of big hyperinflation, prices going up too much. He's going to keep it stabilized, but we're not going to get huge rate reductions either. We're going to be nice, fluid, but yet solid rate reductions makes it affordable again, but yet keeping the prices of the housing from going up.
All right. So do you think the home prices will stay pretty level then? You don't think they're going to – I think they're going to appreciate at an average of 4 or 5% still.
Yeah, the average is about 7.5% a year.
Yeah, okay.
7 to 8% a year. This year we're going to be probably right around 6%.
Oh, really?
A little bit below average.
Okay.
And with the reduction the last 60 days, maybe we end up at 5.
Right.
So 5 to 6% below the average, which means our market is stabilized on price, slightly dropped in the last 60 days. And next year with the rate cuts that we're going to see by the end of the year, and a lot of movement with buyers that we have and that are going to be in the market in the last September, October, November, December, that will make it for a good, strong market the last quarter of this year and going into 2025.
That's what I think too. I think that's a really good point, because you are right. If things start heating up too much, he's probably going to pause on the rate cuts. Even though the market's projecting all this, if the market gets too out of control, they don't want what did it appreciate under COVID? It was like 15% or something crazy in a year. And that's what caused the home prices to go up so much.
That's because the interest rates were too low.
Right, way too
3%,
low. Right.
2.5%. But now they want to moderate them 5 to 5.5%.
Which would be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a perfect market.
Good rate.
That's a great rate.
Traditionally, it's 6.5% in the United States. So anything under 5.5%, we're a win.
Right.
Everybody's a winner.
100%. I think Fresno, if we're talking about Fresno's going to continue to go up, in my opinion, over the long term because of all the surrounding areas moving in here, and just California in general is just more expensive.
Absolutely.
But, California, there's pros and cons, right? But I think that California is actually a really nice place to live. When you have the beach, you have the mountains, you've got all the stuff around that a lot of places don't have. So one last thing we want to talk about, Greg, is how we can grow our businesses. How another individual, if they're watching this podcast, a realtor, a loan officer in this competitive marketplace with the changes of NAR, with the interest rates coming down or staying stagnant, what can they do right now in this market to increase their business and grow?
So professional real estate agents like ourselves and teams, what they can do is something that I've been doing for years. I simplify it. Make your business simple. Complicated things don't always make it simple. So let me give you a quick 1-minute story. Can I do that?
Absolutely. Yep.
So guy comes and he says, "Hey, what should I do?" Similar to your question, similar, to get my business started. What should I do? They told me, and he was with another broker, not EXP, not with the rights team, and he called, got a hold of us. He goes, "They told me to get on Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias, LinkedIn, everything, Pinterest, and start doing videos and do everything like that." That's one thing they told me. I said, "Yeah, that'll be good." And I agreed with everything he said. Then they said, "Get on all the apps, the referral apps and everything online." And there's about 10 of them, and learn everything you can about each one of those apps, how to get them to give you buyers and sellers, and you pay a huge amount of referral fee, 30 to 40%, sometimes even more. I said, okay, thumbs up on that, right? So now he's got all this work to do, right? And that takes a lot of time every day. So far, he hasn't said anything about making a phone call. Then he goes, the next thing they want me to do is set up a mass email to people I don't know in a giant geographical area, like farming it, and then go door to door and do those things. I said, okay, great. Then he goes, then what I got to do is go to all my base and people that I know, send them mailers, call them on the phone, and do all that. Now he finally brought up calling. I said, yeah, that's true. So he went down 2 more items. He had all these things to do. I says, my friend, that sounds really complicated. Can I show you a quicker, easier way and to make more money, help more clients with half as much work and half as much cost? Because all of that costs time and money. Mm-hmm. He goes, yeah. All right, so the marketing I like, do that. Okay, that's going to brand you and get you out there. But from that point, and your database, the people that you know, your sphere of influence, do that. But other than that, get yourself some good lead sources coming in. Just a good lead source, a website connected to Google, connected to the internet, and you're getting leads coming in. Market Leader does that. Brivity does that, right? There's different sites. Lofty, you can get all those in there. Chime, and they will get you leads. You can purchase a lead package, and then you call them and you follow up listings and buyers. Simplify it, and by doing that, but by making that time you would do hours and hours of every day learning the system and staying up with them, which is almost impossible to do unless you had somebody hired full-time to do it all. You're not going to be able to do it all. So that's the reality. That broker forgot to tell you that. Right. So you have to this is the right way to do it. And this is the quickest way with less cost, especially as a new agent. You got to watch your overhead to get into the market. And if you're already in the market, you still want to have those leads coming in and do follow-up. Also, open houses are very good. Even as an experienced agent, we still do open houses. They're important to our sellers, important to the public, and we like that one-on-one connection that we get. People want that connection.
100%.
So, yeah.
No, I want to chime in on this a little bit because loan officers do this to a fault. They try to complicate everything, and I've done it myself. And so, like you mentioned, social media is good, but it's just the branding aspect. The reality is there's nothing that beats belly-to-belly, in-person connection, talking to people, creating relationships, going above and beyond. Those are the things that are really the key fundamental pieces that every massive top producer does at the end of the day, right? All the other stuff is shiny objects that help, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take you to the next level, right out of the gate. I think those are just additional things. One example I want to give you is I saw a lot of loan officers with this whole NAR settlement, and I thought it was kind of silly. This is just my opinion on it, but they were like, NAR, what was it? We're gonna do we're gonna do a master class on teaching realtors how to deal with this NAR settlement as a loan officer. And I was like, okay, I see where you're trying to help. I get it. But the reality is realtors already have that covered by their brokers, CEOs of companies. And if you think that as a loan officer, we can provide advice to a realtor of something that they have these high-level CEOs and brokers and everybody teaching them, I just thought that was kind of missing the mark, right? They don't want to hear from a loan officer of how to sign these contracts correctly or things of that nature. So that would be an example of a shiny object syndrome rather than just going out and creating a relationship or trying to create a new relationship. That's going to take your business a lot farther than things that could potentially, provide value, so to say. What do you think about that? If a loan officer was like, hey, attend my master class so I can teach you how to deal with this NAR settlement, would you say, yeah, let's do it? Or what I'm kind of curious from a realtor's point of view.
Well, first of all, I'd be very selective about any lender or even in the real estate world offering me a class like that. I want to do some investigation, right? If I don't know the people, which for one thing, and I would do that. I would do a class like that with the top lenders that I know, like yourself, and that I work with you, right? On a high level, we do a lot of production together. Then I would do that.
Okay.
Because we're together in this. The lender and the agent are together in a real estate process to give a good experience to that client, that buyer, right? Which also helps the seller on the other end. And so with that, I would do it. But traditionally, if another lender said, hey, we've got this masterclass, we're going to show you how to do these contracts. Well, first of all, this whole thing was easy. We're done. We already know what to do, and we're already doing it. We've had no pushback. Been very simple.
Right. And then that's, I guess the better question to ask on that would be, would you feel like a loan officer would be a reliable resource to teach you about those contracts versus, let's say, the CEO of EXP or CEO of Real or a real estate attorney? Because I saw a lot of like the CEOs of these big companies doing master classes. So in my mind, I'm thinking, man, as a loan officer, I'm not a real estate attorney. I don't know these contracts like they do. They're going to be the best people to teach them, not me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Right.
There's a saying that we have, and I don't get into the arena with people or argue or do any serious debates where there's any negativity going on much.
Right.
So I'll just tell them, you do you and I'll do me.
Right.
And so a mortgage broker agent explaining to an agent how to do that would they need to stay in their arena and be an expert in the loan process, because we need them to be an expert there, and we'll do us.
Right. And that was my thought.
And I agree with you, because the high level brokerages like EXP real estate that we broker under has it all dialed in. It's a simple process. And maybe at the end we spend a minute talking about that process. It's really easy for the buyers.
And the thought is right. Like the intention is there. They want to serve. They want to help. They want to try to provide value. I saw it like a viral thing where a lot of loan officers were doing this. So I was just curious on your take on that. Greg, I appreciate you coming on, man. Is there anything else that you want to add? I think the advice.
Let's clear up the misconceptions, the untruths that are out there on this new buyer broker agreement.
Okay.
Sellers paying commissions, not to the buyer's broker agent anymore, and buyers having to pay their buyer's commissions.
Right.
Let me explain that. So the media, the news, and other people tend to be what? Negative and create fear. Can we agree on that?
Agreed.
They've done it once again. It's a simple process. Let me simplify it and make it real easy, like our team has made it. When you work with an agent, any agent in the United States, doesn't matter, there's no getting away from it, you must sign a buyer and broker agent agreement that you're going to work with them. It could be exclusive to that agent, or you can say non-exclusive. I want to be optioned to sign another one with another agent. So it could be either way. You're not stuck or trapped, right? Number one. So that's nice. Number two, in that agreement on page 2, I think it is, there's going to be, or page 3, there's going to be amount. It says buyer agrees to pay buyer agent broker X amount, percentage of the purchase price or flat fee. Okay. However, that can be waived and in an offer and sent to a seller in the offer. So the buyers, you'll want to agree to that, but you're going to want that sent and charged to the seller. So how we explain that, and what buyers are doing, and we're having 100% success ratio, we're telling them, we're going to put this down because we have to put an amount in there, but you won't have to pay it. The seller's going to pay it. We'll have the seller pay it, and for some reason that seller doesn't want to pay it, which hasn't happened yet, then we can just back out of the transaction, withdraw our offer. It's real simple. You don't have a transaction until the offer is accepted. So we have, but again, we haven't seen that at all, and I haven't heard of any circumstances now going on almost 2 weeks of this new ruling that's even happened.
Wow.
So it's a simple process.
They just made it more complicated. It's going to stay basically
Yeah.
the same. Now you just got to do more paperwork. Similar
Yeah.
to loans in 2008. Before you could just, it was the Wild West, which this wasn't even the Wild West before. This is just actually the proper way to do business. They want to say that, oh, well, sellers, were being taken advantage of. The reality is the sellers benefited from the same exact system. So a seller would sell their home. Let's say they pay 6% commission. And guess what? When they buy a home, what happens? That seller covers their commission. So it was a roundabout thing. There was really no difference. And now it's just we have to do some more paperwork, and it is what it is. It's going to.
Yeah. So to summarize it, buyers agree to an agreement to be represented by that agent with a certain amount of commission, but that's being offsetted to the seller. Agent explaining that to the buyers. We do, and then because of that, we make an offer in there. There's a special place where it's check the box, seller to pay buyer agent commission. It's that simple.
Right.
There's nothing to worry about, buyers. It's the same thing. We're just having to do it a different way. You're not going to be affected by that because we understand how first-time home buyers and any buyers most of them are having a hard time financially to get into their home, whether it's a second, third home or a first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. So we have to offset those over to the seller so they can have affordability to get into a property. And we're really good at that here in the right team with the Claypool Group Lending. Yeah.
Awesome. Greg, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. You provided a lot of value. I love the talk about how to grow your business in a competitive marketplace, hitting on the fact that traditional belly-to-belly calls, that stuff is the gas in your business, and all the other stuff is, it works. Don't get me wrong. Branding and all that stuff is super important, but the highest producers that I see are the ones that are on the phone, belly-to-belly, making the stuff that people don't want to talk about because it's hard work.
Yeah.
That's hard work, right?
And let me share one more point because I was focused more on the newer agent coming in, right?
Right.
So with the different ways to set that up. Social media is good. Brand yourself. Get out there. And then also have a lead package coming in, calling those leads from the internet leads that are coming in and do open houses. That's it. Simplify it. Don't make it hard. But secondly, for more experienced agents that have a database like us, we have over 858 closed transactions on our database, and we have connections to all of those clients. We have over 1,000 sales, but the first few years I didn't track my clients closing, where I followed up with mailers and calls every quarter, and every month they get a mailer, they get an email, they get a home value once a month. We do all of that. It's one system. It's very simplified. It's not hard. Systemize it. It's easy. But for the experienced agent or the medial agents, they have a base like that already. So those agents need to make sure you're sending them a mailer once a month. You're contacting at least once a quarter, every 3 months in rotation, calling those past clients. Let me give you an example. And I was going to share this with you, but we'll do it right now on this. This is important. And I'm hoping the agents get something out of this. This is huge. We just sent out an email. Now we send out 2 emails a month, but we sent an extra one this month a few days ago. Today I opened up my email, and yesterday in the last 3 or 4 days, and I'm getting a ton of hits back from my past clients. Simple thing was, hey, this is your agent, Greg Wright's the Rights team. Just, I'm checking in. What questions do you have for me in real estate right now with the market changing, interest rates, anything that you need to know in the real estate world that I can answer for you? I'm here to help you. I'm waiting for your return email. And I must have had at least a dozen people saying, Greg, I need to know this. What's going to happen in the market? What are the rates going to do? Hey, do you have a vendor, a real estate lender, or do you have an insurance broker? Things like that. And I was just being of service. So those kind of questions to your database, they'll respond, and they know that you're alive and that you're well-versed in the market. And they're looking for that knowledge to share with them.
Right. I think people don't stay in touch with their database enough. Right. And
that's huge right now in this market too.
Right. And people think, oh, well, my database won't want to hear from me. Why would they want, and then I call them and they're like, oh, Corbin, what's up? It's great to hear from you. Like, thank you so much for the phone call. It's like we help these people in one of the biggest purchases of their life. And I think it means something to them when we do call them and just check in, make sure everything's going well. without even expecting anything in return. It's just more like, hey, how's your home going? Is everything good? Do you need, like you mentioned, a vendor? Do you need help with anything? Awesome. Okay. Well, hopefully have a good day. Simple conversations like that go a long way for people.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
We've all bought a new car in our life, probably, right? Most people watching this have done too. Mm-hmm. And that sales professional at the car dealership does a great job. You're happy with it mostly. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you don't hear from him anymore. You're probably not feeling 100% as good as you were when you bought the car. Oh, I was just a number. It was just a sale. But when he follows up with you, which I have a couple of those that have done, mm-hmm. and those two are top of mind right now. Mm-hmm. Because they'll follow, Greg, a year, 2, 3, 4, 8 years later, how's the car going?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's good service
That's
right
good
there.
service
boss.
right there.
Yeah.
It's just checking in if you want to know anything about the automotive bill market and everything, what deals we have. Otherwise, just checking in on the car. Mm-hmm. And that's Ray Rendon, future Ford of Clovis, and another one in the area too that the same thing, he follows up.
That's a hustler making his calls is what that is. Working hard.
Just practice that in real estate. Practice that in the loan industry, right?
100%. It doesn't take much. It's a 5-minute conversation once a quarter. Not even that if you don't. 5-minute conversation once a year even.
They want to hear from us.
They do. And it's funny because a lot of people I talk to, I don't have anything to say. I haven't talked to them in so long. Dude, just call them and see how they're doing. We create relationships with these people when we're in escrow with them because we talk to them so much. Just call and check in, make sure everything's good.
That email was a mass email to about 800 of our clients, and I got multiple hits back saying, yeah, I have this question. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, just be of service.
100%.
What questions? You don't have to have a question. Ask them, what questions do you have for me? And then answer it.
Exactly. Or provide a market update or whatever else.
Yeah, that's right.
But Greg, thank you so much for coming on, man. I think this podcast was informative. It was good. We're going to get some good content for the people out of it. And thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to be here anytime. And it's that time, guys. The market's correcting in price. Interest rates are going down. It's the right time to buy. We have the home and the loan.
Real quick before we sign off, Greg, where can people get a hold of you if they want to call you, email you, talk to you about real estate or anything related? Great question. I'm glad you asked. I'd love to be of service to people. Love to answer all their questions. You can find me on Wright's Team, FresnoMadero.com. That's Wright's Team, REITZ Team, FresnoMadero.com, and 559-260-1777. That's 559-260-1777. Or Greg Wright's on Facebook. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Greg, for coming on, and look forward to the next one with you. Glad to help. Follow me for more information on real estate, anything real estate, business growth, mindset, interest rates, mortgages. We're going to be producing content around it. So follow me, like, share if you like this podcast, and we'll see you next time.